Before we start today, I have to tell you about State Farm agent Bryant. A lot of our listeners have gone to him for all their insurance needs, and he's been very helpful in getting them the coverage they deserve. There's no games with Bryant. He's just here to help and make sure you feel safe. So if you have insurance needs and you haven't called him yet, what are you waiting for? Dial up the number, 630-796-2662. That's 630-796-2662. Or find him online at ryanismyagent.com. That's ryanismyagent.com. And make sure to mention Sports Talk Chicago. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I want to start today with this. Anyone here have testing anxiety? It's like when you take the ACT, the SAT, and you have 10 minutes left and 20 multiple choice questions left. And you're just filling in answers, pattern A, B, B, A, B, C, all the way down the line, because you don't have time. And yes, at the end of the test, you're relieved, but you also know, I don't think I did too well. I can relate. I took the ACT 4 times. I know what it's like. You know, the Cubs are in that same position. They've reached the end of the test. And at this point, they're frantically filling in bubbles to try and stay alive. If you recall, way back in May, I said the following: June would be their test month. Who are they? Are they a contender or are they a pretender? And we went back and forth all month. They won a couple of series. They looked good. Other times, they didn't look good at all. And this past weekend, yes, they no-hit the Dodgers. Then they lost 3 straight. And today, they sit 3 games back of Milwaukee in the NL Central Division. Now, they're going to face Milwaukee for a 3-game set. That ends the month of June. And I'll say this much. If they get swept, if they're 5 games out and it's July 1st, big problem. See, in my example, you know you failed. You're racing against the clock, trying to fill out everything. At the end of the day, you're hoping maybe I'll do okay, but deep down you know I bombed it. The Cubs are racing to try and salvage their season. Really, they need a sweep. They need a sweep to show everybody we're still in this thing. If they get swept, if they lose 2 out of 3, big trouble. Big trouble for this team and for their future and for the rest of the season. This is Judgment Week for them. It's all come down to this. I know they had a great May, but this June has been very rocky from the beginning till now. I know they faced great competition, but as I said from the very beginning, if you can't beat real contenders, you are not a real contender. Common sense. If you can't beat a playoff-worthy, World Series-worthy team, then do you belong there as a team? No. You know, it's so funny, too. Now I see mainstream media saying the Cubs have no pitching and no hitting. I've been saying that for months. Now it's a mainstream opinion. It's okay to say that, but it wasn't okay a few months ago to say that. What a joke. This lineup has been pretty disappointing. I'll level with you. It's been very disappointing. When you have 3 guys with OPS pluses under 80 in your lineup every day, problem. Ian Happ needs to be demoted. I have no issue saying that. Ian Happ should not be on a major league roster. Jason Hayward shouldn't either. And if the Cubs didn't have to pay him, I'd say DFA him and get him out of here. Eric Sogard is just there until Horner gets better, and I know everybody's waiting on Horner to finish his rehab in Iowa, and he'll be back soon, fortunately. And Javier Baez has a 103 OPS plus. Mr. Superstar wants a big-time contract extension as a 103 OPS plus. Sorry, you don't deserve a penny. You don't deserve a penny for being average. You deserve the average salary. The average salary in baseball is about $6-7 million. That's what you should get for that production. Look, Wisdom is still hitting. Rizzo, to an extent, still hitting. Bryant, too. They've been surprises, pleasant ones. Jake Pariznik done a good job in his limited role. But this lineup needs some work. The worst part is their rotation needs more work. Kyle Hendricks has come around. He'll be fine. Not worried about him. But Jake Arrieta, Adbert Alzolay, Williams is still hurt. Alec Mills, ERA over 5. This is not going to get it done. Look, the Cubs are fighting an uphill battle here. They need hitting help. They need pitching help. And there's really no time left. Meanwhile, they're going down and down and down in the standings. Can't we finally acknowledge where this team is going? I admit maybe I jumped the gun a bit back in April and May when I said this won't be a good team, but now can we all say it? Can we agree finally? I've never seen a team fight so hard to avoid the mediocrity they already have. I've never seen people fight so hard to deny it exists. It exists. It's here. Can't we see with our own two eyes? Don't we see the numbers that are being put up? Don't we see how much Happ and Hayward are struggling? How Javier Baez has an OPS plus of 103, how the starting rotation has one or two decent pitchers and everybody else is horrible. And yet people believe this team is going to be a contender. People say they're still in it, still in the race. You do realize that if you want to be a true contender at this point with this team and this roster, we're talking about major trade deadline acquisitions. Why is it worth giving up so much to contend for one more year and prolong the inevitable? I don't get it. The infatuation with the Cubs being a contender is ridiculous. Look at this team. I said it 2 months ago. No one agreed. Now it's mainstream and it's okay to say it, so I'll say it again. Look at this team and tell me they're a contender. Unbiased. Tell me they're a contender. You can't. You can't. I've never seen a contender with 2 effective starting pitchers, and that's it. I've never seen a contender with 3 guys in the starting lineup with OPS plus is under 80. I haven't seen a contender whose quote-unquote superstar, Javier Baez, could barely hit league average. That's not a contender. That's a pretender. It's a 500 team, not a contender. And yet for many, it's hard to see. Like it's a big mystery as to what's going on here. This is not a mystery. It's apparent. It's your choice to acknowledge it or not. No one wants to. Oh, they'll turn it around. Oh, the deadline's still a month away. Oh, anything could happen. Look. They're facing contenders they can't win. They can't. They're playing 500 baseball against contenders. Not going to cut it. You do realize that when you make the postseason, if you make the postseason, all you're going to face are good teams. So if you can't beat them now, what makes you think in October you're going to beat them again with this roster and this composition? It is so ridiculous the amount of support and fanfare this team has when they're not performing. It'd be different, way different, if they were putting up numbers, if they were winning games. The Cubs right now have a 35% chance to even make the postseason. Dwindling and dwindling by the day. What did I say before the season? They'd go 83-79, like 2009, and a rebuild would come. I still stand by that statement today. Their bullpen is great, but guess what? A bullpen's not going to pitch for 6 or 7 innings in a game. He'll pitch for 3, maybe 4 if you're lucky, not 7. It's time to realize this stuff now. It's been a month. I gave them a month. I said, this is going to be a test. June will be their test. They failed. Sitting at the desk during the ACT with their pencil, filling out A, B, C, D because they have 20 multiple choice questions and 10 minutes left. It's over. They failed. They failed. And unfortunately for them, no retakes. Too late for a retake. Way too late. They could have a great July. I still don't buy it. Don't. Because if they have a great July and they're beating sub-500 opponents, that doesn't prove anything. That doesn't show me that this team is a legitimate contender. It just tells me they could beat up bad teams. When the going gets tough, when they have to face a worthy opponent, they cower and they can't win. Because I know what's going to happen. It's going to be July 31st. They're going to be 5, 10 games over, maybe. And everyone's going to buy in again to the hype. They're going to make trades, give up farm products. Then come October, there'll be a first-round exit. If that's what you want, if that's what you think will be best for this team, then so be it. You're obviously not going to listen to me. But if you're worried about the future, if you're worried about what this team will look like long-term and not instant gratification, you do realize that this won't work. You realize that a playoff appearance this year, winning 88 games, won't do anything for the Cubs later. And if you actually think they're going to make a run in the postseason, I direct you to the month of June. How'd they fare against worthy opponents? What'd they do? Nothing. A whole bunch of nothing. Combined no-hitter. Lose 3 straight. So apparent. So obvious. It's up to you to realize it. And to acknowledge, yeah, this team may not be so good. They're guessing. They're really guessing at this point. They have nothing. When you have holes, both offensively and pitching-wise, that's a problem. Yeah, I'd say, hey, if the Cubs need one more bat, fine. Trade deadline. One more pitcher, fine. Trade deadline. They need 3 or 4 new hitters and 3 new starting pitchers. In a month. Not going to happen. You could try and convince yourself that it will. You and I both know they have very little prospects and not a lot of money to spend. And there's really no one intriguing even in free agency right now. Maybe Cole Hamels, but still. That's not worth it. And who knows what he'll bring to the table. I'm just so frustrated because this has been said so many times and people refuse to listen. The evidence is in front of you right now, and we've seen how they played in the month of June, and I really haven't heard much. I haven't heard anyone come out and say, not a good team, or I regret supporting them, or pretender contender. Everyone's still buying into the same old, run-down, watered-down product. But it's apparent that it won't work. Look, I'm sorry. Can't win a World Series with just a bullpen. Love the bullpen. Great bullpen. Can't win a World Series with no hitting, no starting pitching in a bullpen. Bullpen covers you for 3 or 4 innings a game. At max. What are you going to do for the other 5 or 6? Run out Jake Arrieta? Right? Run out Jake Arrieta to throw? Robert Williams? Alec Mills, even Alzolay. It's not going to work. I hope it's apparent to people. I hope they realize what's going on here. You could say this team's a vibe. You could like the composition and the makeup of this team. But the fact of the matter is, they're not good. They're not. Think about this even. Look at the Cubs' top WAR leaders. I'll read them out to you. Javier Baez, Wilson Contreras, Craig Kimbrell, Bryant, Rizzo, Wisdom, Chafin, Horner, Tepera, Winkler, Thompson, Duffy. How many relievers did you hear in that list? 5 relievers. 5 relievers have some of the top WARs overall on this team. Kimbrell has more of a WAR than even Bryant or Rizzo. Think about that. This team is so weak. We got people buying in. Oh, yeah, if the Cubs make a move here, they'll be fine. No. They need 4, 5, 6 moves to be fine. And if you tell me that's worth it for a year in which they'll maybe make the postseason, the next year you'll have Bryant and Baez and Rizzo as free agents, come on. Don't kid yourself here. I know you want a playoff appearance. I know you're starved for playoff baseball, especially after last year when you get eliminated by the Marlins. But come on. Don't you want something to look forward to? Anything? You trade away everything this year, your hope for the next 5 years, gone. Gone. There's no need to. This isn't Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. That team was great. When they finished, after their 6th win, they could have gone for 7. They chose not to. Then they broke it down. This team's won 1 World Series, and they have to acquire to try and get 2. Not like they're ready to win again. They have to acquire and trade more and more and pay more and more to win another. They have to put in so much effort just to be a sustainable team, let alone be a World Series contender. Why is this feasible to people? Why do people think it's a good idea? It's not. Horrible idea. This team is not a vibe, and there's really very little to celebrate about the current composition of the Cubs. And remember, I grew up a Cubs fan. I'm unbiased now, but I grew up a Cubs fan, and I'm telling you the truth here. No one else wants to. No one else feels the need to, so I will. Not a good team. If you have to trade that much just to pass, you should realize something's up. This isn't right. If you need to trade for 3 starting pitchers, 3 bats, maybe another bullpen piece, it's pretty apparent that this team ain't good. Plain and simple. This team is not good. They play in a weak division. Now they're 3 games back. June was supposed to be a month of testing. They faced so many contenders. What came of it? Well, they're 3 games back, which means couldn't win, couldn't compete, done. Why is this so hard for people to see? I wish them the best. I really do. Bullpen's been great. Bryant, Rizzo, they've been great. Everybody else, I'm not impressed. I'm really not impressed. Why give up so much for 1 more year? You know Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, free agents. And the team as it stands right now won't do much. So why trade and be a buyer just to ensure maybe one more year? Yet even right now, they can't beat contenders. And we saw that all month. This is it for them. They got the Brewers this week. They get swept by Milwaukee, it's over. It really is over. They're going to be 6 games out on July 1st. That's your cue to sell everything. Sell. Look at Bryant even. I mean, batting average going down. He's starting to slip. And I said from a month ago, trade him when his value's high. Now his value's slipping. It's a frustrating situation. And I feel especially for some of these players who've been playing their butts off, and this is the reward they're getting. Chafin, Kimbrel, DePera, Winkler, these guys have been really working hard to ensure something for the Cubs. And the thanks they get is, oh, we're a fake contender. We're not going to do anything. We're going to sit here and be idle. That's what I feel bad for. I feel bad for you, the fans, especially because you've been buying in to a bunch of nothing. And they've convinced you that it's okay to buy into a bunch of nothing. Newsflash. There's nothing here. And it's not even worth your time to sit here and actually think there's going to be a change. More to come here on Sports Talk Chicago. My interview with Brian Dempster comes up next, so stay tuned.